Did you know that Utah is home to the largest living thing on Earth? Or that a patch of bright pink ice somehow survives all year in one of America's hottest deserts? How about the fact that Utah has a geyser that erupts like a giant shaken soda bottle? Well, the Beehive State has a lot more to it than just red rocks and ski slopes. So buckle up, because we're about to hit you with 50 of the strangest facts about Utah that you probably never knew. Fact 50. Utah's trembling giant. Utah is hiding one of the biggest living things on Earth. And it's not a whale, not a mushroom, not even close. Tucked inside Fish Lake National Forest lurks Pando, also known as the trembling giant. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary forest of quaking aspens. But here's the twist. It's actually just one single organism. How? Every one of its 47,000 trees is actually a clone, all sprouting from a single massive underground root system. That means what looks like an entire forest is actually one enormous plant, sprawling across 106 acres and weighing an estimated 6,000 tons. Scientists believe Pando has been slowly cloning itself for as long as 80,000 years. That makes it one of the oldest, largest, and heaviest living organisms on the entire planet. Fact 49. The Dead Sea of America. Utah's Great Salt Lake is so salty it makes the ocean look fresh. In some spots, it's 8 times saltier than seawater. So buoyant, you can literally lie back and float without moving a muscle. Stretching 75 miles long and 35 miles wide, it's the largest saltwater lake in the Western Hemisphere. But here's the kicker. It's so briny that fish can't survive at all. Only brine shrimp and a few salt-loving microbes thrive in this alien water. Fact 48. Utah's two-tone lake. From space, Utah's Great Salt Lake looks like it can't decide on a color scheme. The south half shines a normal blue-green, while the north half glows a shocking pink-purple, a split so sharp it looks photoshopped. The reason? A railroad causeway cut the lake in two back in the 1950s, trapping different levels of salt on each side. The southern arm stayed relatively mild, but the northern arm turned into a hypersaline soup, so extreme that salt-loving algae and bacteria painted the water neon rose. The result is one of Earth's strangest natural experiments, a massive lake with a color line you can see from orbit. Fact 47. The lake with no fish. Utah's Great Salt Lake is massive, but as we said, you won't find a single fish in it. The water is simply too salty for them to survive. Instead, the lake is ruled by billions of brine shrimp and brine flies, the same sea monkeys you might remember from old toy ads. These tiny creatures swarm in such insane numbers that the entire lake turns into a floating protein buffet. Every summer, millions of migratory birds swoop in to feast, turning the shoreline into one of the most surreal wildlife spectacles on Earth. Fact 46. Utah's lost mega lake. Once upon a time, Utah wasn't desert. It was Atlantis. During the last ice age, a monster lake called Lake Bonneville swallowed 1/3 of the state. We're talking 20,000 square miles of water, around the size of Lake Michigan, and more than 1,000 feet deep in places. Utah was basically an underwater kingdom. The proof? Giant bathtub rings still scar the mountainsides, marking where the shoreline once stood. Today's Great Salt Lake and the Bonneville Salt Flats are nothing more than the salty crumbs left behind by this Ice Age ocean. Fact 45. Flattest place on Earth. Utah's Bonneville Salt Flats are so flat they make a pancake look mountainous. Spread across 30,000 acres of blinding white salt, this alien environment is one of the flattest surfaces on the entire planet. On crystal clear days, people swear they can actually see the curvature of the Earth stretching across the horizon. No trees, no hills, nothing. Just a never-ending white mirror blending into the sky. It's so otherworldly that NASA wants to use it as a testing ground for moon rovers. Fact 44. Utah's hidden underground maze. Inside Arches National Park hides the Fiery Furnace, a sandstone labyrinth so confusing it feels like nature's own escape room. Towering red fins twist into slot canyons so narrow you can touch both walls at once. GPS? Useless. Every turn looks identical. People have literally gotten lost for hours in here, which is why the Park Service won't let you enter without a ranger guide or special permit. It's one of the few hikes in America where the danger isn't cliffs or wildlife. It's the maze itself. Fact 43. World Capital of Natural Arches. Arches National Park isn't just a park. It's Earth's ultimate sculpture gallery. Inside its red rock wall sits over 2,000 natural stone arches, the highest concentration anywhere on the planet. Delicate Arch, the 65-foot icon stamped on Utah's license plates, is just the cover model. The real shockers are formations like Landscape Arch, a razor-thin ribbon of rock stretching 290 feet, nearly the length of a football field, suspended in midair. Some arches are so impossibly skinny that they look like a stiff breeze could knock them down, and yet they're still standing. Thousands of stone windows defying gravity in one surreal cluster you won't find anywhere else on Earth. Fact 42. Hoodoo Heaven. Here's a twist. Bryce Canyon isn't a canyon at all. It's a massive natural amphitheater carved into the Paunsaugunt Plateau, overflowing with some of the strangest rock formations on Earth, hoodoos. These pink-orange stone spires look like they were sculpted by aliens with a wild imagination. Bryce has more hoodoos than anywhere else on Earth, thousands clustered together so densely it feels like a stone city built for giants. For millions of years, frost and rain have been chiseling them into shapes so bizarre you'd swear they belong in a fantasy world rather than Utah. Fact 41. A natural bridge almost taller than Lady Liberty. Buried deep in Utah's red rock backcountry rises Rainbow Bridge, a sandstone titan that makes human monuments look tiny. This isn't just any natural bridge, it's one of the largest on Earth, soaring 290 feet high, almost the exact height of the Statue of Liberty, and stretching 275 feet across. To put it in scale, you could tuck the entire US Capitol building underneath it with room to spare. Fact 40. Towering Sand Mountain. Think deserts are just flat? Boring stretches of nothingness? Well, Utah argues otherwise and presents Sand Mountain in Little Sahara Recreation Area, a towering wall of sand that rises roughly 700 feet high from base to crest. This beast is Utah's tallest sand dune, and it's so steep that it separates the weekend warriors from the serious off-road adventurers. Only the most powerful dune buggies, or the absolute fittest hikers, can actually conquer its shifting sandy summit. The incline is so brutal that many ATVs barely make it halfway before sliding back down in an avalanche of sand. Fact 39. Pink sand dunes and a tiny tiger. Utah hides a desert that looks like it was painted by a sunset itself. The coral pink sand dunes. These salmon-colored hills get their surreal glow from eroding Navajo sandstone, making them the only major dune field on the Colorado Plateau. But the real shocker? This desert is home to a species found nowhere else on Earth, the coral pink tiger beetle. This tiny, exclusive insect scurries across the dunes like it owns them, and in a way, it does. Fact 38. The Backwards Mountains. So here's one that makes geologists scratch their heads. Unlike nearly every other major mountain range on the continent, Utah's Uinta Mountains run east-west instead of north-south. While the Rockies and most other ranges follow the typical north-south trend, the Uintas decided to be rebels and stretch sideways across 150 miles of Utah, including the state's highest peaks. But this isn't their only party trick. These backwards mountains are hiding around 2,000 alpine lakes tucked away in their high plateaus. That's right, in one of America's driest states, this east-west oddball range is secretly hoarding a massive collection of pristine mountain lakes like nature's own private water park. Fact 37. 2,000 alpine lakes in the desert. Utah may be branded as a desert, but it's secretly hoarding nearly 2,000 alpine lakes high in its mountains. Many are so remote that reaching them takes days of brutal backpacking, the kind of trek that makes even seasoned hikers want to cry. The Uinta Mountains alone, as we just mentioned, hide hundreds of these crystal clear pools. Some so untouched they don't even have names. Picture glassy blue water perfectly mirroring snow-capped peaks. Many stocked with trout just waiting for the lucky few anglers strong enough to haul their gear this far. Fact 36. Greatest snow on Earth. Utah license plates boldly declare greatest snow on Earth. And the bragging is totally justified. The Cottonwood Canyons near Salt Lake City receive over 550 inches of snow annually, making them one of the snowiest places on the entire planet. The secret? Cold air sailing over the Great Salt Lake gets turbocharged into snowstorm monsters thanks to the lake effect boost. But here's what makes Utah's snow truly legendary. It's incredibly dry and fluffy, with a snow density of only 8.5% water. Skiers worldwide worship this stuff as the holy grail of powder. It's so light and perfect that it feels like skiing through clouds. Fact 35. Lightning Lover's Paradise. If you're the type of person who gets genuinely excited by huge thunderstorms, Utah's Great Basin region is your personal paradise. While Utah doesn't have frequent large storms, it gets over 300,000 lightning strikes annually, and the Great Basin region is prone to thunderstorms, including dry lightning, during these months. We're not talking about a few sporadic flashes here and there. During peak summer storms, the sky absolutely erupts with hundreds of lightning bolts per hour. Fact 34. Sunny and parched. Here's a geographical curveball. Utah may have some of the deepest snow on Earth, but it's also the second driest state in the US. Only Nevada tops it. The state basks in nearly 300 sunny days a year, with most of its land classified as desert or semi-desert. Huge regions see less than 10 inches of rain annually, and parts of western Utah scrape by on as little as 5 inches. A place famous for snow that's also bone dry? Utah's climate is basically running on split personality mode. Fact 33. 4 states, 1 step. Down in Utah's far southeast corner sits one of America's quirkiest landmarks, the Four Corners Monument, the only place in the US where you can stand in 4 states at once: Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. A simple bronze marker in the desert tags the exact point, and yes, tourists love doing the classic starfish pose with a hand and foot in each state. But here's the twist. 1,800 surveyors weren't exactly working with GPS, so the monument is actually about 1,800 feet off from the true intersection point. And yet, it doesn't matter. By federal law, wherever they planted the marker is officially where the states meet. Sometimes, close enough really is the law of the land. Fact 32. The Big Friendly Pit. Did you know that Utah is home to the largest human-made excavation on the entire planet? The absolutely monstrous Bingham Canyon mine just outside Salt Lake City. This copper mining beast is an inverted skyscraper of absurd proportions, over 0.75 miles deep and 2.5 miles wide. Standing at the rim, the massive mining trucks crawling around the bottom look like tiny ants. The pit is so ridiculously enormous that astronauts can literally spot it from space. Over its 100-plus year operation, this richest hole on Earth has yielded more copper than any mine in human history. Fact 31. The Jurassic Killer. Utah isn't just a fossil hotspot. It's home to its very own dinosaur namesake, the Utahraptor. And forget the chicken-sized velociraptors from Jurassic Park. This beast was the real deal, stretching nearly 23 feet long, armed with 9-inch sickle claws, and covered in feathers. Utahraptor was the largest raptor ever discovered. It was terrorizing prey millions of years before T-Rex even showed up. Fossils unearthed in Utah revealed a predator so fierce that in 2018, the state made it official. Utahraptor is now the state dinosaur. Fact 30. Densest dino graveyard. As you might have guessed from having its own killer raptor, Utah is basically a paleontologist jackpot. The Cleveland Lloyd Quarry in central Utah holds the record for the densest concentration of Jurassic dinosaur bones ever discovered anywhere on Earth. We're talking about over 12,000 individual fossils representing at least 74 different dinosaurs, all crammed into one relatively small area. It's like prehistoric Black Friday, but with way more teeth. But here's the really wacky part. Most of these remains belong to carnivores like Allosaurus, which has scientists completely baffled. Why would so many predators all die in the exact same spot? Some researchers call it a predator trap, but the mystery remains unsolved. Fact 29. Trilobite treasure trove. Utah's weird geology doesn't stop at dinosaurs. It goes way deeper. In the Wheeler Shale of western Utah, you can split open ordinary-looking rocks and uncover 500-million-year-old trilobites by the bucketful. These bug-like sea creatures were crawling around ancient oceans hundreds of millions of years before the first dinosaur ever hatched. And here's the kicker. Some quarries are so rich that you can find dozens of fossils in a single hour. It's one of the few places on Earth where anyone can literally crack open a rock and hold 500 million years of history in their hands. Fact 28. First dark sky park in the world. Utah is absolutely stellar when it comes to astronomy. In March 2007, Utah's Natural Bridges National Monument claimed the historic title of the world's first international dark sky park, officially recognized for its pristine, pollution-free starry nights. Today, Utah has more than 20 certified dark sky parks, the highest concentration anywhere on Earth. In these remote canyon country locations, the night sky is so clear that you can actually see your shadow cast by starlight alone. Park rangers love to joke that half the park is after dark, and they're not joking. Fact 27. Milky Way Mecca. Thanks to Utah's winning combination of huge empty spaces and high elevation, you can literally find a designated dark sky park in every single region of Utah. From Bryce Canyon's mind-blowing observatory programs to Canyonland's cosmic panoramas that'll make you question your place in the universe. On a perfectly moonless night in these pristine locations, you're not just seeing a few twinkly dots. You can witness thousands upon thousands of stars, the brilliant band of the Milky Way stretching overhead, and even catch a glimpse of the Andromeda Galaxy with nothing but your naked eyes. Fact 26. Giant radiocarbon clock in snow. High in Utah's Uinta Mountains, glaciers hide one of the planet's most precise history books, written in ice. Scientists drilled deep into frozen layers to uncover traces of lead-210 and ancient carbon, some dating back over 800 years. Every snowstorm since the 1200s is locked in perfect order, like pages in a frozen archive. The result? Researchers can literally read climate records from the exact time the Mongol Empire was conquering Asia, all preserved in Utah's mountain ice. Fact 25. Honeycomb calcite wonder. Utah's official state rock isn't sandstone or granite. It's something way stranger. Honeycomb calcite. This golden orange mineral is found only in the Uinta Mountains and was a complete secret until 1995. Cut and polished, it reveals a bizarre hexagon pattern that looks like a beehive lit from within, glowing as if nature made its own stained glass. Geologists call it a mineral, but to most, it looks like Utah accidentally invented a gemstone. Fact 24. Miracle of the Gulls. In 1848, Utah's pioneer crops were on the brink of total collapse. A plague of crickets swept across the fields, threatening the entire settlement with starvation. Then, something unbelievable happened. Thousands of California gulls appeared out of nowhere and devoured the insects until the fields were saved. The settlers called it the Miracle of the Gulls, and were so convinced it was divine intervention that they built a monument in Salt Lake City to honor it. Today, Utah is one of the only states where the official state bird is a seagull. Fact 23. Coldest temperature this side of Alaska. Utah isn't just scorching deserts and red rocks. It also hides one of the coldest places in America. In February 1985, a high basin called Peter Sinks hit a jaw-dropping negative 69.3 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 56.3 degrees Celsius. That's the second coldest temperature ever recorded in the lower 48, missing the all-time record by just half a degree. And here's the wild part. This natural sinkhole is basically a giant freezer. It traps cold air so perfectly that it's recorded 0 degrees Fahrenheit even in June. So while most people picture Utah roasting in summer heat, it secretly harbors a spot colder than Antarctica on some winter nights. Fact 22. Mystery crater in Canyonlands. In the heart of Canyonlands lies Upheaval Dome, a bizarre 3.4-mile wide crater that looks like Earth got hit with a giant bullseye. Scientists have argued for decades over what caused it. One camp swears it's the scar of an ancient meteor impact, the kind that would have unleashed energy bigger than a nuclear bomb. The other claims it's the remains of a massive salt dome collapse, a geological implosion from deep underground. The rocks are so twisted and warped they almost defy explanation. And just when the debate seemed endless, geologists found shocked minerals, a telltale sign of cosmic collision. If that's true, then Canyonlands might secretly be sitting on one of America's great impact craters. Fact 21. Biblical Firefall Canyon. Near Zion, the desert sky pulls off one of its wildest tricks. For just a few days in late February, when the sunset lines up perfectly, certain cliffs ignite in glowing orange streaks that look exactly like molten lava spilling down the rock face. It's not lava at all, just solid sandstone matching the light at a razor-thin angle. The effect only lasts minutes, vanishes as fast as it comes, and can't be replicated any other time of year. Miss that tiny seasonal window, and the canyon walls go back to looking perfectly ordinary. For photographers, it's like chasing nature's own magic show, a firefall in the desert, here one moment and gone the next. Fact 20. Dinosaur Renaissance in Grand Staircase. Southern Utah's Grand Staircase Escalante isn't just a stunning wilderness. It's basically Jurassic Park without the fences. Over the last 2 decades, scientists have uncovered at least 15 brand new dinosaur species here, creatures found nowhere else on Earth. We're talking about horned dinos with 15 spikes on their heads, ankylosaurs armored like prehistoric tanks, and early tyrannosaurs that reveal how T-Rex evolved into the king of predators. Fossil by fossil, this remote badland has rewritten textbooks and exposed a lost world we never knew existed. Fact 19. Hidden pink ice in the desert. In one of the hottest deserts in America, Utah hides a frozen anomaly that seems straight out of science fiction. Tucked high in Canyonlands National Park, there's a patch of ice that glows pink, and it refuses to melt, even when summer temperatures blast past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. This strange frozen oasis isn't your average snow pile. In the shade, the ice shines with a rosy hue. Just a few miles away, the desert bakes under triple-digit heat, yet this stubborn pocket of pink ice clings on year after year. It's like stumbling into a secret portal where Utah's scorching desert and frozen tundra collide. Fact 18. Recent volcano in Utah? Think Utah is all ancient red rock? Think again. Out in the Black Rock Desert volcanic field lies the Ice Springs lava flow, and it erupted shockingly recently, just 660 to 720 years ago. To put that in perspective, while Genghis Khan's empire was still echoing across half the world, Utah was casually spitting out fresh lava. The jagged black basalt it left behind is so geologically young that hardly any soil has had time to form on it. In Earth's timescale, these rocks aren't prehistoric relics. They're practically newborns. By Utah standards, this isn't ancient geology, it's medieval. Fact 17. Utah's supervolcano that dwarfs Yellowstone. Think Yellowstone is the scariest volcano in America? Utah laughs at that. About 30 million years ago, southern Utah's Wawa Springs supervolcano erupted with a force that makes Yellowstone look like a sparkler. How big? Try 5,900 cubic kilometers of ash and lava, one of the largest eruptions in Earth's history. For perspective, that's about 5,000 times bigger than Mount St. Helens in 1980. And here's the kicker. This single Utah eruption was larger than any Yellowstone blast on record. While the world obsesses over Yellowstone's what if, Utah casually hides the fact that it already unleashed a blast that could have reshaped continents. Fact 16. Peanut butter frogs. Utah's desert is home to a genuinely nutty natural phenomenon. Excuse the pun. Great Basin spadefoot toads literally let out a smell similar to peanut butter whenever they feel threatened. These little amphibians spend most of their time buried in desert sand, living their best underground lives until something disturbs them. That's when things get weird. They secrete a funky defensive slime that, to human noses, gives off an unmistakably peanutty, nutty aroma. Scientists believe this bizarre fragrance deters predators, and it's so potent it can actually make people sneeze. So if you're hiking through Utah's southern deserts after a good rain and suddenly catch a whiff of peanut butter out of absolutely nowhere, congratulations! You've probably just startled one of these desert rarities. Fact 15. Topaz. Just add sunlight. Utah's state gem, Topaz, comes with a built-in magic trick. At Topaz Mountain in western Utah, you can dig up flawless amber-brown crystals that look almost fake, but leave them in sunlight and they bleach clear in a matter of hours. It's like nature's version of disappearing ink. UV light literally erases the color. That's why collectors keep them hidden away from windows, preserving those golden hues. And the wildest part? You can still find these sun-sensitive gems just lying around. Fact 14. Skull Valley UFO Rock. In the heart of Utah, Goblin Valley State Park looks less like Earth and more like an alien outpost. Thousands of bizarre mushroom-shaped pinnacles, nicknamed goblins, crowd the desert like an army of stone extraterrestrials frozen mid-watch. But the weirdness doesn't stop at their looks. Local native legends call them the watching eyes of the gods, and modern visitors still whisper about strange lights and even radio interference near the formations. Add in walls etched with ancient petroglyphs, and Goblin Valley feels less like a park and more like a portal to another world. Fact 13. The Hurdest High Point. At 13,528 feet, Kings Peak towers as Utah's highest point. But height isn't what makes it legendary. It's the remoteness. Unlike other state high points with roads or tourist trails, Kings Peak forces you to earn it. There are no shortcuts, no roads. Bagging the summit means a brutal 30-mile round trip through the wild high Uintas. A journey so demanding most climbers have to camp out just to make it. The payoff? Alpine basins untouched by crowds. Moose and mountain goats wandering freely, and silence so complete you'll wonder if you're the last person on Earth. It's not just Utah's tallest mountain. It's one of the hardest high points in the entire lower 48. A summit you don't stumble into, you conquer. Fact 12. Soda Pop Geyser. Utah has geysers, but not the boiling volcanic kind you see in Yellowstone. Near Green River, there's Crystal Geyser, a bizarre cold water geyser that blasts 80 feet into the air, powered not by heat, but by underground carbon dioxide gas. And here's the kicker. It wasn't even supposed to exist. Back in 1935, oil drillers accidentally punctured a pressurized aquifer, and the desert has been fizzing ever since. When it erupts, it sounds like someone cracking open the world's largest soda bottle, spraying cool, carbonated water across the desert. It's half natural wonder, half industrial accident, and totally unique. Fact 11. Center of Utah backwards. Utah has a tiny farming town named Levan that might sound perfectly normal until you have that light bulb moment. Levan is literally navel spelled backwards. And here's where it gets clever. This little community actually sits near the geographic center, aka the navel of Utah. Coincidence? Not likely. Local legend insists pioneers knew exactly what they were doing when they chose this name for their settlement. With roughly 800 residents calling it home, Levan remains a quiet agricultural village that's managed to maintain one of the most brilliantly subtle naming jokes in American geography. Fact 10. Every county has a forest. Utah, once again, has a reputation as nothing but desert and red rock. But here's the twist. Every single one of its 29 counties has national forest land. No other U.S. state can say that. From the sprawling Dixie National Forest in the south to the massive Uinta Wasatch Cache System in the north, these green giants touch every corner of the state. Even in counties that look barren on a map, you'll find mountain ranges sprouting patches of federally protected forest. It's one of Utah's strangest contradictions, the desert state that quietly hides forests everywhere. Fact 9. Ancient rock time machine. Beneath Utah's mountains lies some of the oldest rocks on Earth, over 2.6 billion years old. These Precambrian giants formed when Earth had no oxygen in the air, and the planet looked more like an alien world than the home we know today. Over billions of years, they've been buried, crushed, and remade by violent tectonic forces, only to rise again like geological phoenixes. When you stand on them, you're literally standing on a piece of Earth that predates plants, animals, and even breathable air. Fact 8. Grand Staircase Kidnapped Mesa. Near the Grand Staircase, there's a giant mesa approximately half the size of Manhattan, about 10 square miles in area. Over centuries, river erosion gradually caused this massive landform to detach and slide a full mile downhill. This slow, relentless process created a floating plateau, complete with its own unique ecosystem. Interestingly, scientists continue to debate how this enormous structure moved such a great distance while staying mostly intact, making it a fascinating natural mystery and a remarkable example of geological evolution. Fact 7. The longest art gallery. Utah doesn't just have epic rocks. It has the world's longest art gallery carved into them. 9 Mile Canyon, which is actually 40 miles long, holds over 10,000 ancient petroglyphs and pictographs, created by the Fremont and Ute peoples over centuries. Each cliff face is packed with images, spirals, bighorn sheep, hunters, and the jaw-dropping Great Hunt panel, a prehistoric mural so detailed we're still trying to decode its story. With tens of thousands of carvings clustered in one canyon, this place has the densest concentration of rock art anywhere on Earth. Fact 6. Lake Powell's crazy coastline. Utah's Lake Powell, shared with Arizona, isn't just a reservoir. It's a geographical magic trick. By flooding dozens of deep canyons, it actually created one of the longest coastlines in North America. At full capacity, Lake Powell's jagged shoreline stretches an insane 1,900 miles. That's longer than the entire U.S. Pacific coast combined. Nearly 100 side canyons branch out like watery tentacles, hiding coves and beaches that look like they belong on Mars. Boaters can spend weeks exploring and still stumble on new alcoves. What started as a dam project ended up producing a man-made labyrinth that puts natural coastlines to shame. Fact 5. Utah's blind salamander. Deep under Utah's Great Basin, there's a salamander that has adapted to life in total darkness. Known as the Great Basin blind salamander, this bizarre amphibian spends its entire existence underground in pitch-black aquifers and limestone caves. Over thousands of years, it's nearly lost its eyesight, relying instead on touch and chemical cues to navigate a subterranean world no human has fully explored. Think about how insane that is. In one of the driest states in America, there are hidden underground waterways hosting a nearly sightless species found nowhere else on Earth. Scientists call it one of North America's strangest survivors, a living reminder that Utah still hides secrets beneath the surface. Fact 4. Spiral Jetty. Utah's famous art attack. On the remote shores of the Great Salt Lake lies one of the world's strangest masterpieces, Spiral Jetty. Built in 1970 by artist Robert Smithson, it's a 1,500-foot coil of black basalt and salt crystals that curls into the lake like a giant fossil. But here's the wild twist. The lake itself decides whether you get to see it. When water levels rise, the entire spiral disappears beneath the surface for years at a time. Then, when droughts hit, it reemerges like some ancient rune carved into the earth. Most people only ever glimpse it in aerial photos, but if you make the trek to this salt-crusted shoreline, you can actually walk across one of the most photographed pieces of land art on the planet. Fact 3. Oldest U.S. unmarked fault. Beneath the busy streets of Salt Lake City lies something terrifying. A web of active fault lines that scientists didn't even discover until the 1980s. These aren't minor cracks. They're earthquake-generating systems running directly under landmarks like Temple Square and the Utah State Capitol. And here's the spooky part. These underground faults aren't isolated. They interlock into a complex web that can amplify shaking far beyond what experts once thought possible. The Wasatch Front already ranks among the most earthquake-prone zones in the entire interior West. Now add in this hidden seismic puzzle right under Utah's biggest population center, and you've got one of the most precarious urban fault systems in America. Fact 2. 3 worlds collide. Utah isn't just rugged, it's a geological collision zone. The state literally sits at the crossroads of 3 completely different worlds of terrain. To the north and east, the towering Rockies bring alpine peaks and endless snow. Swing west and you're in the Great Basin, a desert of wide basins and broken mountain ranges. Head south and suddenly you're in the Colorado Plateau, a surreal wonderland of red rock canyons, mesas, and arches. Nowhere else in America do these 3 regions slam together in one state. That's why Utah feels like 3 different planets fused into one. Fact 1. Electric blue Moab ponds. Flying over Moab feels like, yet again, looking at another planet. In the middle of the red desert, you'll spot giant neon blue squares, glowing like landing pads for UFOs. But these aren't natural wonders. They're potash evaporation ponds. Human-made reservoirs dyed electric cobalt to speed up evaporation. The contrast is so extreme that the pools glow against the desert floor and are clearly visible from space. As the sun bakes the water away, what's left behind is potassium salt, transformed into fertilizer that feeds farms around the world. Utah didn't just create a mine here. It engineered one of Earth's strangest man-made landscapes. Geometric sapphire mirrors scattered across a Martian canyon land. What about 50 wild facts about Nevada that sound made up?